Chucky. Good night, Chucky.
Everyone knows most accidents happen at home.
How did that happen?
This is no accident.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
How do?
Each week on the podcast That Wouldn't Die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic Child's Play, starring Brad Dourif, Chris Sarandon, and a possessed doll. So good time.
And Diana Manhoff, who played Marty Maricino from Grease. You know,
first
like
of all, not
Jerry.
Diana Manoff.
Whatever.
Dinah Manoff. Also from Empty Nest, if you remember that show with Richard Mulligan and Christy McNichol.
One of the worst shows. That's when I realized most of the country were idiots.
It was a spin-off of what popular sitcom?
Three's Company.
Do you know?
It's one in San
Golden
Francisco.
Girls.
What?
Hello,
How
Larry.
is it a spin-off?
Yeah.
Hello, Larry.
It takes place it takes place in Florida, like the Golden Girls. And I think one episode, Richard Mulligan was like Sophia's doctor or something.
How does that
like
make
not
it
a strong
spin-off?
connection?
How does that make it a spin-off?
No,
it
exists in the same
Dinah
universe.
Manoff was an extra who walked behind B. Arthur, so now it's a spinoff?
No, I'm not saying that. Look, Mork and Mindy is a spinoff of Happy Days. Mork was in one episode as Mork. Yes. So this is neither here nor there. We've totally gone off the rails.
It's already started.
Aaron.
Yes.
Give us your 30-second synopsis of Child's Play.
A voodoo practitioner, serial killer, organized crime doodly-doo is down to his last breath after a shootout with the coppers, and inserts himself into the my buddy, and all hell breaks loose. Little Chucky's all kind of a dick, but he's got his little friend Andy, which I'm sure that's where we got Toy Story right out of here. And then, he wants to avenge his death, so he has like a 6-year-old take a trolley and take him to abandoned buildings, so he as a doll can run around and do wackadoo shit. At the end, he dies, ? But mommy gets to do daddy, so that's all that matters.
Good times. Had you ever seen this before in its entirety?
I have never, ever seen any of these. I was way too sophisticated in the 80s to be watching this tripe.
Way too sophisticated. I saw this one in the theater. That's how sophisticated I was. Boom.
But I will not surprise.
What I will say is I never saw any of the sequels, of which there are many, by the way.
I saw a couple of minutes of The Bride of Chucky with one of the twin whatever, and I was like, I don't want to see puppets getting busy. This is nasty.
Jennifer Tilly, who is not the twin sister of Meg Tilly, by the way. They're just sisters. They're sisters who look strangely very, very similar.
Not even an Irish twin, huh?
They might be. Now that you mention it, they might be an Irish twin. So who's to say? Good Lord. No, I remember seeing this and I remember enjoying it, but not so much that I wanted to keep watching the other ones. You know what I mean? Because it was just, he was meant to be like a contemporary of like, literally, I remember ad campaigns was like, you've seen Freddy, you've seen Jason, but get ready for Chucky.
Not scary at all.
Well,
It's another one of these. It's another one of these shows where then they constantly drop like little homages to every other horror movie in.
Well, it's that thing, and we've talked about this before, where there are a million movies about possessed dolls, right? Like, but somehow I don't think of Chucky. I mean, that's what he is, but I don't think of Chucky as a possessed doll at all. I don't know what it is.
Well,
It's
he's
like
not
a
a
different
ghost.
genre.
It's a different genre. It's not a ghost. It's not a demon. It's just a bad dude. I don't know. It's Trilogy of Terror is what it is. In fact, there's straight up scenes from Trilogy of Terror. I hope you recognize that.
There were some things in there, but I guess what it comes down to is typically when you watch dolls or Dolly Dearest or demonic toys or whatever these things are,
Yeah.
the possessed thing doesn't really have a personality. It's just kind of a killing machine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where
Right.
this movie, it is very much like a chip off of the block of Freddy and Jason. You know, where it's a person with a personality coming at you. You know what I mean? Not just a little Zulu
What
fetish doll.
personality did Jason? Yeah, I mean,
Fair
the
enough.
fetish doll is more like Jason. Jason has no fucking personality. He just Freddy.
Yes.
You know, it's nonstop hijinks.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is all, and this was like the gateway. I remember it's like every little kid that has bad parents wants to quote this shit to you.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
Like, I mean, I've had 5-year-olds in my teaching lifetime that want to tell me about Saw that they saw.
Oh, that is true.
And so this is thing where it's isn't it so funny, the little My Buddy dolls calling people a bitch and a whore.
Right. That there is that. There is that. You're right. Because it's true. It's like this was kind of, it's really not a bloody movie, really. It's really not that gory.
The grossest part, quite frankly, it has nothing to do with the people. It's when they let him on fire. That's
right.
the creepiest
When
thing.
he's thrashing around on fire. But you're right. I was teaching third grade, and I had kids telling me how they were watching the Saw movies at home with their folks the night before, and I almost fell out of my chair. I saw the first.
There should be a CPS number for that.
Absolutely. I saw the first Saw movie in the theater, and it so disturbed me. I'm like, I will never see another one of these movies. Never.
I saw one. There was a lot of buzz.
I saw the first
and
one.
I was like, that's it. Yeah, that was enough.
That was enough. But I know people who love those movies. Not I, said the Fly. Just too much.
No,
It's too much.
No, because it's the torture. Speaking of torture porn, did you see Eli Roth is acting in a new thing coming out?
No, what is he acting in?
Now I can't remember. But he's got there's a new movie coming out. I cannot tell you anything because my memory's been erased, but all I remember is Eli Roth is actually acting in it.
Well, he's acted in a few things.
Speaking of torture porn.
Exactly. His performance. No, I've seen him in a few things. He was in Inglourious Bastards. He had a bizarre cameo. I saw this lousy horror movie called 2001 Maniacs. And he was literally...
Not Son of a Thousand Maniac?
Well, there was the original 2000 Maniacs from the 60s, Herschel Gordon Lewis. And this was, I guess, meant to be the reimagining or the homage or whatever it was. And since we're going down this little, tightrope, the band 10,000 Maniacs takes its name from the original movie 2000 Maniacs. So there you go. Unrelated.
Unrelated.
Anywho, let's jump into Child's Play. What you got? You go first.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, it's clearly My Buddy. But my number one impression is this latchkey child who clearly looks half abused and is so forlorn and forsaken. He does.
He is.
He's like half cowering.
Well, his
He's
father
half
has
married,
died.
but-
They don't talk about this. The reason why she's a single mom is because the father has died fairly recently. So he's sad inside because of that.
He's sad inside because of that.
He was
Well,
a sweet
I'll tell
little
you something
boy.
else.
Go ahead.
Whatever. He was not sweet enough. I will just tell you that mom was tricking, because this is Chicago. I've worked at Macy's. You know what? It was barely above minimum wage. And you're not living in this giant apartment in some amazing architectural building in Chicago selling costume jewelry at Macy's.
Okay.
No, her apartment was giant to have this little crazy latchkey child who, it was like the Sixth Sense. He's carrying around a doll and they're both dressed the same, but mommy's looking for change in the pillows while she lives in a mansion. What is that shit?
Okay, first of all, she's not selling costume jewelry at Macy's. This is the real.
Those were not
McCoy.
diamonds.
She
It was
had
anything pink and that is a bead is not, Harry Winston,
those are blood diamonds, I believe, but that's neither here nor there.
It's blood beads.
They were blood beads. Don't buy the blood beads. Now, let me say this. We don't know, like I said, her husband died. We don't know if there was some kind of settlement. Maybe he fell in the gears of a combine. We don't know what happened. There was some wrongful death
Why
suit.
is she buying an old filthy toy from a crackhead behind Macy's
Okay,
for
that
her
is true.
beloved only child
You
for
got-
his birthday?
you got me there.
A day late.
You got me there. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Because you're right. Andy goes to open up his presents. It's his birthday. And there's a huge ass
And
box.
I'm right.
You're-
They named Toy Story after this Andy, right?
It must be. It must be.
It has to be.
So, yeah.
There can be no other.
The little boy is Andy in Child's Play. So he's got this huge present to open up. And of course, he thinks it's the latest My Buddy doll. Or not, they're not called My Buddy in the movie. They're called Good Guys. The Good Guys, based upon the hit cartoon show. And he opens it up, and it's got like one pair of jeans in it. She's like, "Ooh, I hope these fit." What are you
It's like a refrigerator box with some Walmart jeans, and I bought him 6 sizes too big. Well, we can just use a belt, because we got to stretch our funds in our mansion.
I mean, did she just find it in the dumpster? It's like, I hope these fit. This is your child. You don't know his size.
There's a whole convoy of hobos that line up outside of Macy's Chicago. And it's like, there's the My Buddy hobo, there's the crack hobo, but there's also the Old Roy Walmart, discount jeans.
Well, doesn't have to be Old Roy, by the way. Very upsetting. But you're right.
That just always stuck with me.
Old
Do they even
Roy.
have Roy
They do.
dog food anymore?
That's the-
Dad used to buy that.
That's the
I was like,
Walmart brand. Old Roy.
I used to tell the kids, I got you a bag of old Roy potato chips. There you go.
That's no one can eat just one, evidently, except if they're Old Roys. Anyway,
Except Old Roy.
I'll tell you what. This was the saddest birthday ever because you're right. It's one pair of jeans, and then it's like some My Buddy's accessories, but no My Buddy doll. And she literally says, "Ooh, I'm sorry. I could have. If you'd have told me you were looking for the My Buddy, I would have saved up my pennies for the last 6 months to get this GD thing." And
This child is like a My Buddy crackhead.
yes,
He wears the same effing outfit every day.
Yes.
And every day he's like, "No, mommy, get away from me. I must go to TV. My buddy is going to be on. And I'm going to eat my buddy sugar whatever crap." And you're right. I had no idea.
I had no idea. But you're right. That smash cut to the scene. She's at the Macy's counter, and her wacky friend Dinah Manoff from Greece grabs her and says, "There is literally a crackhead in the alley with a shopping cart who's got a My Buddy doll that he'll sell us on the cheap." Because that's what crackheads do. They go door to door selling frickin' dolls, right? With their bindle.
Scratching at the service entrance to department stores.
Right.
Why was she in the alley?
She was buying crack.
I was buying crack, turning some tricks, because I feel you, honey. I worked at Macy's. They don't pay that much. I had a quota, but I didn't get a commission with my minimum wage job.
That's a double whammy right there. Quota, but no incentive to reach the quota.
No commission.
Yeah. Very good. So yes, so she's haggling with Scratchy Joe in the alley for what should have been a blood-stained, burnt, like My Buddy doll. Because we skipped over the whole opening scene. The opening scene, Chris Sarandon, who we know him from Fright Night. I swear to God, he's wearing the same outfit. He's got the turtleneck, like sweater under the leather vest.
Though.
Hair's different. Hair is different.
Oh no. He had a full Cosby sweater in Fright Night, where it's like coming off his shoulder. It was half a flash.
Yes, that is correct. So he's chasing Brad Dourif, who apparently raided Sam Kinnison's closet because it was the Sam Kinison collection. Oversized overcoat, crazy hair. All he was missing was the beret. Ain't gonna lie.
Oh my God. Maybe this is what this is. It's Sam Kinnison's spirit that lives inside the Chucky doll.
Oh, no question. No question. So
that would explain the language and the hatred of women inside.
That would explain a great many things. And he's so Chris Sarandon is chasing Brad Dourif, and they say we've got the Strangler. So he's a serial killer. I guess we're supposed to take away from that. He's the Lakeshore Strangler, who I guess strangles people. Okay, got it. But he's got his buddy waiting in the car. That's his accomplice? Is it the Hillside Strangler? Is it Buono Bianchi?
My buddy. My buddy.
Is it the original My Buddy? But it's like, it's like they call him the Strangler, but he seems more like an organized crime type, doesn't he?
Maybe that's, sometimes in the mafia, it's your predilection. He likes to kill people by strangling them.
Oh, that might be.
Or, he has a small dick or something. They always have, if I recall my vast knowledge of The Soprano, like, why was Polly Walnuts called Polly Walnuts?
We don't ask those questions. Don't want to know.
That's what I was always afraid to ask, and I never Googled it, but it sounds very,
Exactly.
So, but it could be that's like, that was his thing.
That was his thing.
I want you to assassinate the president. He'd be like, okay, but I can only do it if you let me strangle him.
I have to strangle him.
For the Secret Service. A long, slow strangle.
Right. Exactly. Well, when the cop's chasing him, he pulls out a gun. He's not like, I'm going to go strangle that cop. I'll get you. Anyway, Chris Sarandon chases him into a toy store, and he shot him a couple times. So now he's at death's door, right? He's mortally wounded, and he, coming out of nowhere, pulls out full-on voodoo ritual. I mean, this isn't, the homie from Constantine.
Angel Heart?
Or Angel Heart. This isn't some dude with, he ain't rolling out chicken bones, This ain't Serpent in the Rainbow.
I thought I saw someone peeling an egg, though. Wasn't there an egg peeling scene in Chucky's at some point?
There must have been. So, the Lakeshore Strangler is just like, oh, by the way, fully versed in all the voodoo rituals. Does some voodoo where he, like, again, hands dipped in blood, manhandling this My Buddy doll, and, putting his spirit in there. Meanwhile, there's like clouds forming, lightning is flashing, and the whole store explodes. Boom. So going back.
I think that wouldn't really work out in his favor if the whole place burns down while he's doing his transfer.
You would think. So again, smash cut to Scratchy Jim behind the Macy's with the shopping cart, pulls out a mint edition My Buddy doll in its original box. No blood smears, no burnt, nothing. So
I wanted it to be a little crispy, and then what's that strawberry jam inside the box?
why couldn't there be? Right? A little raspberry jam,
Exactly.
something like that. So okay. That we know, obviously, we going to the theater, Child's Play, what the premise is. So when you see the hobo selling the My Buddy doll to the lady from Seventh Heaven on the WB network, we know that this is the doll. This is good. This doll is going to come back to life. So my question:
What are the odds?
What are the odds? So my question to you is: what was Chucky's plan? If the wacky best friend hadn't manhandled the doll later in the movie, would he have just lived with Andy for the next 30 years? Or what would have happened? Because he was like sleeping with, it wasn't like he was kept trying to sneak out the window or something, right? Why was he staying there if he could just get up and move?
Why didn't he just tell the hobo to F off and go about his business? Because he clearly had a plan, and that he wanted to go get this revenge.
Right.
So why did he wait? And how's he getting around Chicago? I mean, I haven't been to Chicago. I assume it's spread out a bit.
It's a major metropolitan city.
Especially if you're a doll.
Right. Although I guess that's what it is. So Andy ditches school one day and gets on the elevated train with Chucky to go to the shittiest neighborhood. It's like Leroy Brown country, the south side of Chicago, basically.
Yeah.
And like, this is the bravest kid in the world or whatever. He's hauling around the My Buddy doll, which is at least as tall as him, at least as big as him.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Where did Candyman take place? Was that Chicago?
That was also Chicago. Coincidence?
Oh, we could have had a Chucky versus Candyman freak out.
We still could.
Oh, maybe that's where it was. We still could. We ain't dead yet. Jordan Peele, where are you?
That's what I'm saying. Candyman, they just did the remake of Candyman, and a couple years ago they did a remake of Child's Play. Boom. Hashtag. Let the good times roll. So we established that the doll is like My Buddy, but it's also.
Oh my God, I gotta stop you.
Jump in.
Stop you, because all I have is visions of the Chucky doll always having to be delivered to Candyman by a 7-year-old child who then like goes into Cabrini Green and drops the doll off and I don't know, waits at the bus stop till he's done fighting Candyman, and then he takes him home.
Little Andy, exactly.
Little Andy from Toy Story. It has to be that Andy.
Well, and when Andy's roaming the streets, it is literally like you see like people fighting in the background. There's like drug deals going on. There's at least a hooker or two. Andy doesn't give a damn. Andy's tough. He's from the streets. He's the child of a single parent.
I told you he was latchkey. Yeah, latchkey.
You do what you got to do.
Upper middle class latchkey.
For sure.
Bodies all over again.
Now, what I was saying earlier is that it's My Buddy, but it's also another doll that came out about that same time called Teddy Ruxpin. Do you remember Teddy Ruxpin?
Oh, yeah. You or the Twin Skulls had it. It was a bear, but it had like a parrot mouth, and it would tell you stories. And you could buy different discs, and but it was clacking. The eyes would clack. The mouth would clack. It never seemed comfortable, and it always seemed like it would hurt if it bit you.
Right. It's basically if you brought home Chuck E. Cheese is essentially what you're dealing with.
Yes. Not Chuck E. Cheese now. Chuck E. Cheese from the early 80s when you would go and it'd be like the Country Bear Jamboree from Disneyland. It used to be like this whole wall and a whole show would appear. And the last time I went, it was like a single creature and it didn't even move anymore. And it was just videos.
Right. No. It's like when you were a kid, when I was a kid at least, Chuck E. Cheese was the thing. It's like if somebody's birthday, you're going to Chuck E. Cheese. I took my own kids to Chuck E. Cheese several years ago. and it is the most depressing experience that you will ever see. Because it's true. It's more like Five Nights at Freddy, where it's like, moth-eaten
You're not
creatures.
wrong.
It is terrifying. And the pizza blows is what you realize. You're like, this pizza, I love pizza. How hard can it be to mess up? They worked hard to mess it up. It is the lousiest pizza.
It is lousy pizza. It's a sad place to go when you have no babysitter and you just turn your child loose because it's free.
Yes.
And drink quietly in the parking lot.
That's pretty standard. That is pretty standard.
And don't put your hand in the ballroom. You don't know what you're going to pull out there. A stump? A diaper? No one knows.
The ballroom. And it's clearly not the ballroom.
It's a room of urine.
The ball pit?
Diapers.
I don't know if the ball pit's a better term for it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Pit always makes things better. If it's a pit.
The pit of despair.
Disappointment.
There's another scene which I found kind of interesting. You knew this. You worked at Macy's. How late typically would you say Macy's makeup counter would be open till? I don't know. I'm asking this question.
I remember it maybe being like 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And then you're closing your doors, and then you got the night shift.
What does the night shift do?
Well, they do the restocking and the cleaning and all.
Okay, so because that's the thing. It's Andy's birthday, but Andy's mom's boss basically rolls in and says, "Hey, so and so called in sick. You're pulling the graveyard shift or whatever the equivalent is." And I kept wondering to myself, is this like a 24-hour Macy's? How does this work?
No, I mean, I worked in men's sportswear. So they're not having me stay after. Now, like the makeup people, the people who had to wear uniforms and dress, they're not there till 10 o'clock at night. No.
Okay.
And frankly, everybody wants overtime. So it's not like you ever had to put a gun to someone's head. You're lucky to get the shifts you had. So if someone wants to give you extra shifts, you're like, okay.
Well, it was definitely a threat. It's like, you do enjoy working here, don't you, Andy's mom? Because you could be back on the bread line where I found you. I mean, it was kind of the implication, basically.
Turning tricks in the alley with the toy hobo. And his name was Criswell. Did you notice that?
I did notice.
He had the bow tie.
Criswell.
He had the bow tie like Criswell.
No one knows what we're talking about.
See, that's what...
Go ahead.
They keep making these nods. I mean, it's a nod to Ed Wood.
Yes, exactly. The Ed Wood movies back in the day. Criswell was a guy who made predictions. Anywho.
I assume people listening to our drivel are knee deep in the history of horror.
That they should be, for goodness sake. Oh, we're not doing our jobs. Anywho.
I said.
So... wacky friend says, "Don't worry, I will watch Andy tonight." So she's babysitting Andy, and Chucky starts pulling some whammies where it's like he wants to watch the news. So after Andy goes to bed, Chucky's sitting in front of the TV watching the news, and there's multiple scenes of wacky friend, whose name escapes me, Dinah Manoff, where she just grabs Chucky by the arm, like kind of really rough with the doll, I guess, comparatively speaking, and tossing little Chucky's ass back into bed with Andy. That's enough to sign your death warrant when Chucky's around, right? But
don't mess with Chucky.
Don't mess with
it. It is just in general, when you know that this is such an important toy that your friend bought it off a crackhead. You would figure you would not try to like rip its arm out of the socket. You would think.
Generally speaking. Now, make no mistake, she isn't hitting it with hammers or lighting it on fire. That's later in the movie. She's merely grabbed the arm like a person would with a frickin' stuffed doll. It's not anything outlandish, but evidently Charles Lee Ray, the Lakeside Strangler, He ain't having that. Even though he's supposed to be like doing a low pro, evidently, not so much. He immediately murders Marty from Grease, tosses her out the window, literally like she was shot out of a cannon. I mean, they act like she trips. Whoa, whoa. They cut to the window show, it was like if you were running for the window at full speed and diving through it, you wouldn't go that far or that fast.
Oh my God. She flew like 10 feet out. It was so freaking ridiculous. I was like, oh Lord, here we go. Here we go. It literally, and she was hit in the eye with the toy hammer.
Yes.
That's enough to send you 15 feet back through a window, 10 feet through the air to your death.
That is correct. No.
First of all, let's make the point that Chucky is about the size of a 3-year-old. Now,
yes.
Push come to shove, I could kill a 3-year-old. I am not looking forward to it, but if it's a zombie 3-year-old, it's a 3-year-old up to monkey business.
Giving you some sass,
that little brother.
Just giving you the side eye.
Sass. Give me a side eye. You're going down. I could kill a 3-year-old, but nobody could kill Chucky. He's literally killing people with those souvenir baseball bats you used to get at the games. Remember, like the little ones are like 6 inches long. It says like Dodgers on it.
Yes.
He's active. He's got a Louisville Slugger and is taking heads off with that thing. It's almost a pen. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yes. I appreciate that the My Buddies accessories are literally like tools for adults. There's like a table saw in there. The knife.
It was a knife.
An actual working knife. This is like from the old Saturday Night Live with Dan Aykroyd, where it's like bag of broken glass, bag of vipers. Yes, it's the exact damn same thing.
Classic.
Very upsetting.
Love it.
So yeah, here's a bag of dangerous tools. You're a 6-year-old. Enjoy. Basically, is the moral of the story.
Latchkey.
That's how it happens. Now, I think we have to hit this again. Andy, multiple times, picks up Chucky throughout the movie. Like I said, he goes on the L station, takes him across town just by carrying him. A 6-year-old carries Chucky. Yet, when
he's almost as tall as the child. Yeah.
Almost as tall as the child, but clearly weighs 5 pounds. Maybe soaking wet, 5 pounds. And yet, the worm turns and now it's Chucky's on the rampage, he's tackling people like he's playing for the Chicago Bears. Basically, he's knocking people down. No one can do anything about him. He takes out Chris Sarandon multiple times with a Louisville Slugger that is exactly 6 inches long. So.
Exactly. What's wrong with Chris Sarandon? Is this why Susan Sarandon left him? Because he can't take a punch?
He cannot protect her, is what we've learned. Poor Chris Sarandon.
He can't protect her from a 3-year-old.
He cannot. This leads directly into the wacky scene. We're later in the movie. Go ahead.
I want to say one more thing before you go into the scene.
Please.
The Chucky doll looks so creepy because he has those blue Cal Ripken Jr. eyes that you know is the mark of the devil.
It's the mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast, Cal Ripken Jr. Maybe that's what made the doll go crazy.
No offense, Cal Ripken Jr., Cal Ripken Sr., or any Baltimore Oriole fans, but it is true. Those blue eyes,
it is
mark
true.
of the beast.
I mean, it's not your fault you were born with the devil's eyes, but
it's not Damien the Omen's fault. Okay, that's all we're saying.
Circumstances.
So there's multiple scenes of first, nobody believes Andy. Then Andy's mom figures it out. Nobody believes her. Eventually, Chris Sarandon's like, oh, it's real. And nobody believes him. So it's a kind of a reoccurring theme. When Chris Sarandon tells her, you're full of beans, go home, I'm leaving, he gets in his car and is immediately attacked by Chucky in the most ridiculous fashion. Chucky pops up behind him as he's driving, tries to stab him through the fine Corinthian leather in the bucket seats.
Again, a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old.
Yes. Poke, does not get him. Then he tries to stab up through the bottom of the seat. And somehow Chris Sarandon manages. I drive the car every day. I don't know how the hell he accomplished this. He is like holding himself up, hovering like he's in a gas station bathroom, hovering over the seat with his feet up on the dashboard. The car is still going 70 miles an hour. Poke, poke, poke.
It's so ridiculous. And then Chucky crawls under and grabs the accelerator, just pushes it all the way down.
Because I did write, pull over. Pull over. If Chucky's trying to stab you in the ass, pull over before it even gets to that point.
Turn the key.
Emergency brake. Do something. Okay?
Do something. Don't just go along for the ride.
Do not go along for the ride. The car eventually flips over. Chris Sarandon is basically fine. And so is Chucky. Chucky's running around the car, kind of taunting him. And Sarandon is making like Dirty Harry, where he's just shooting out of the car. Boom, boom. I don't want to talk about how many people were killed just by, drive by, people walking down the street. This is not how you do it.
Movie, they're in an apartment with the 357 Magnum just shooting through the floor.
Poor Mr. Withers downstairs is no longer with us, is the sad reality.
He survived Auschwitz, but he couldn't survive Chris Sarandon trying to kill a doll.
Sad but true. Sad but true. It was a rough sledding, let me tell you.
I don't get it. When the car flipped over, Chucky walks right up to his face and just puts the knife next to his head.
No, the knife was sticking out of it. The knife was sticking out of it, and he pulled the knife like right next to him. Bink! And that made Chris Sarandon turn around and just start blasting. Boom, boom, boom. There is a scene.
Makes no damn sense. Chucky could have killed him 20 times.
No, easy.
And it's all like, boop, boop, boop.
Easy. There's a scene where they're trying to investigate because they realize it's Charles Lee Ray is in the Chucky doll. And they go to his apartment.
We all now realize that in fact the doll is possessed by a murderer.
Yes.
And we all have a consensus here in Chicago.
Finally, at long last.
Finally.
They go to his.
We all agree.
They go to his apartment, and it's wall to wall like voodoo murals on the wall, where it's his naked body, where it's like constant scenes of Charles Lee Ray, full naked. And at one point, I was convinced you could see his goods, his junk hanging low. I'm like, do I need to see this?
His Polly Walnuts.
His Polly Walnuts. Not necessary. And it was important because it basically announces the exposition for the entire movie. Like the police officer and the mom are like, just by looking, they were like Anasazi cave paintings. They're looking at this going, well, clearly this means back in 1974, Charles Lee Ray started studying voodoo under the auspices of Dr. Death, the famed voodoo master of South Chicago. So, good. Thank you for that. I could have done with less nudity in the mural, though, if I'm being honest. What you got?
First, of course I had to Google who this voodoo god is, and it's actually a benevolent spirit.
Damballa?
Full of cut. Yeah, it's not the guy you call on when you want to jump inside a doll to murder children.
It is not.
It's supposed to be more like our Jesus, where it's all good and kind and benevolent. I also have all these takes from other movies. There's a ripoff of Trilogy of Terror where the doll mysteriously rolls underneath the couch. Yep. And then they stick their arm under there, but instead of getting bitten, they just pull the damn doll out. But then at the same time, Chucky's trying to get into the bathroom like Trilogy of Terror and The Shining. It's like a total ripoff of The Shining. It was very
I
good.
love that scene because she is leaning against the door while she's trying to hold it closed because Chucky is like overpowering her as she's trying to get through it. And he's stabbing through the door with his knife, and the knife is coming closer and closer to her face. And I kept thinking, you don't have to lean against the door when you're trying to hold it closed, right?
You don't need your face to hold the door shut.
That's what I'm saying. Don't do it like that. Don't do it. It's a pull. It's a pull. It's not a push. Good Lord. Sweet Jesus.
I also we skipped the whole point where they put Andy in the insane asylum.
Oh, I wrote that down.
And it's the middle of winter. So of course his windows are wide open and he's just sitting on the bars like like he's a Batman villain. And then of course, what does he see? He sees crazy Chucky showing up at the insane asylum to come get him.
Okay, so they think that Andy might be the one who actually killed Wacky Friend and tossed her body out the window, even though he's a 6-year-old. But they think he may have been the one. So they literally take him, like you said, to Arkham Asylum, right? With Steele, he's in solitary confinement in a padded room, and he looks out the window holding onto the bars, and the bars were at least 18 inches apart. He could have easily his head could have easily, like, he sticks his head through the bars to look out the window. Hey, there's Chucky. This is not how we do it. That's not how we do it. And anyway, it's not good for mental health. That's all I'm saying. Poor Andy. I have to say that scene where Andy is crying in the cell going, Chucky's gonna kill me, and is like blubbering. I'm like, this is like real acting. How did they get this 6-year-old to really cry like that? It was heartbreaking.
Clearly, you'll never see your parents again, and we will kill them. So you better start crying, little boy. They're going to be so disappointed. They're going to leave you at the orphanage.
That's what I'm wondering.
For real this time.
For real this time. Exactly. Very upsetting. Let's see. I like how later in the movie, when she's trying to track down where the doll came from, she tracks down Scratchy Joe, the doll-selling hobo at the hobo encampment, who promptly attempts to rape her. It's that kind of movie. And the only thing that stops him is Chris Sarandon shows up and kind of pushes him away. And it's like, get out of here. Really? Attempted rape, not a crime in Chicago.
I had enough. Boys will be boys, haven't you heard? Move along.
He said, which of us haven't been accused of rape on occasion? Am I right?
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Oh, I have this quote, kill them all. And I've been trying to Google, but I know it from somewhere, but it's actually a quote in 10,000 Things. So I just remember, like, kill them, Daddy, kill them all. What's that from?
That's from Friday the 13th, the original. Kill him, Mommy.
All right.
Kill him.
That's right. Yep. That's what I'm remembering. Because that's the quote at the end. Kill them all.
Right. Well, which is, I appreciate later in the movie, he is set on fire. Chucky is set on fire and shot to pieces. He now has, he's been decapitated. He's got one arm, one leg. Somehow, Headless Freak climbs through the air vent and reaches out with his chewed up hand and grabs the other detective by the throat and is about to strangle him. While the head, again, decapitated, is, I guess, communicating with the body. Has to do it vocally because...
And that's confirmed that he's being strangled by fingers about the size of a Vienna sausage.
That is correct. So, good times. Oh, that was the thrilling conclusion. You got to shoot him in the heart is the only way to kill it. Go ahead.
They shot him in the chest like 20 times. And until they said it again and shot him again, then you got a little blood squirt.
That is correct. Good time. There's nothing funnier in this movie.
I just thought of something. Go ahead.
Go for it. Well, okay, first, there's nothing funnier in this movie than when Chucky gets shot and he constantly flies back. Ah! It's like somebody took... Oh my God, I can't even describe it. It's like somebody took a toddler and just pitched him across the room is what it looks like when he gets shot. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, which is, of course, interesting. So you could have probably just kicked him, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I just thought of something else. Did it occur to you when Chucky was getting shot, like, oh, there goes the arm, oh, there goes the leg? Didn't that remind you of Blood for Dracula?
No, it did not remind me of that.
It's Andy Warhol's Dracula. I'm sure it was lifted directly from that.
It was from Young Dracula, if I remember correctly.
It has so many names. Thank you, The Factory.
Any other thoughts before we go to behind the scenes?
I will never give this another thought.
Here we
Lay it
go.
on me.
Behind the scenes. The name of the killer is Charles Lee Ray. Do you know where they got those names from?
Charles Manson.
Yep.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
2 for 2.
James Earl
Ray. Very good. 3 for 3.
So he's a racist, but he is into voodoo, and his I don't know, leader is black.
Is he racist? Did we establish that Chucky's racist? Maybe he is. I don't know.
I don't know. You threw the James Earl
I
Ray in
I
there,
didn't
so
name the character, but yes.
Oh, well, then that's more clear. Thanks.
Catherine Hicks, who played Karen, Andy's mother, and Kevin Yeager, who created Chucky, met on set and were married a year later. Look at that.
Wow. She looked very a foxy 80s with her curly hair and her leather skirt and her shoulder pads.
She did. How old do you think she was in this movie? Because I think she.
It's hard to tell.
Like
in 30s,
like
early 30s.
Well, because Andy's only 6, right? So I mean, you're supposed to think early 30s, but she was dressed like she was in her early 50s or something. She dressed like.
It was the 80s.
Is that the thing? Maybe it is.
You dressed. It was that look. No, she was rocking some 80s with her boots and everything. Yeah.
Fair enough.
That was the style.
And
I couldn't afford that style, so
very upset.
It was the style.
In the original draft, the good guy's doll had like latex skin and like fake blood, so that if it got a cut, you could put a Band-Aid on it. And in the original script, they became like Andy and Chucky became blood brothers. And that's how the horror began. I guess it was originally supposed to be much more of a psychological thriller, is what they were going for.
That sounds like the most terrible doll. So it's a doll that's just going to leak. It's not like the blood's going to clot. I don't know if you know this, but they used to have these baby dolls back in the day, and mom wouldn't buy it for the girls. The kind you could feed baby food.
Yes.
Because she would say all the food would just wind up inside the doll and just start to smell.
That's true.
It just starts rotting.
Well, because it was like you fed the doll, and then the doll would crap, would drop a D,
right.
And then you're clean. Like, who the hell wants to play at wiping a doll's dirty ass? I'm not feeling that. No, thank you.
You mean not everybody's parents didn't have 7 children? I mean, you didn't need a doll that craps when you had like 6 brothers and sisters just crying with loaded diapers.
So with this original plot, the movie was supposed to be called Blood Buddy because the character's name was called Buddy, not Chucky.
Blood Buddy.
Wherever I go, he goes. Let's see. Multiple actors played Chucky over the course of this movie, including the boy who played Andy. His real name was Alex Vincent. His little sister played Chucky at one point. There was a little person, I think his name was David Gale. I may be messing that up. I'll double check that. Who also played like during the more physical scenes. But there was another actor who played Chucky. He was also known for famously playing Isaac in Children of the Corn.
I don't think I ever saw Children of the Corn. I read the book.
If you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen the original Children of the Corn, the creepy dude, there were 2 creepy dudes in Children of the Corn. There was a tall redhead Malachi, and then there was the weird little kid named Isaac. And Isaac is the one who played Chucky. This means nothing to Aaron. We'll have to do Children of the Corn at some point. So there you go.
No, I read the book, and I will tell you, I've met way too many Malachis in my time teaching, which could either they're Bible thumpers or it's Children of the
Right.
Corn.
It was literally Children of the Corn. Whenever I hear Malachi, it's all Children of the Corn. That's how we do it.
100%.
They all,
100%.
in addition to the multiple actors, they're also obviously animatronic Chuckies running around and rolling around and making facial expressions and doing all sorts of stuff. But they did all sorts of stuff. Let's see. Anything else? In the original script, the whole is he or isn't he alive was toyed with a bit longer. Like they originally wanted you to think maybe Andy was the killer. So
that might have been more interesting.
So it's like literally.
Then they decided,
no, rather not. Brad Dourif was only on set to film his opening scene where he gets killed. All of his voice stuff was done in advance and was like recorded. So people would be acting opposite of recording, essentially. So there you go.
He's a busy man. He's literally in everything.
Yep. And I think that's all we need to know.
I think it would have been more interesting if you really had to wonder if the kid was crazy or not.
Right.
But they couldn't do that as you see Chucky with a hammer coming at her to hit her in the head.
Well, it's just a different film. You know what I'm saying? Do you want it to be kind of a psychological thriller where it's like, what's going on? Like Alice, Sweet Alice kind of movie? Or is it meant to be kind of this popcorn, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street fare, where it's a little crazy doll doing crazy stuff? Just depends.
I always prefer a psychological thriller. But at the end, it can be a crazy doll doing stuff. I like the idea that you're just sure. Not sure. That might have been more interesting. Right. It might have been more interesting. But that's definitely not what they were going for. That is
not what they were going for. One more thing I want to say. People wanted this movie banned because they thought it was inspiring children to violence. Because it's a little kid dealing with a little crazy doll and it's explosions, there's attempted rape, there's murders, there's stabbings.
Kevin, let me tell you my thing.
Lay it on me.
Our mother often told me about the Three Stooges, that she had asshole friends that would try to hit their brother in the head with a hammer because they're watching Three Stooges. So then we had the great Harry Potter phenomenon. People were so excited their children were actually reading books. Oh, but it's going to lead them to Satan. So I say, just stay on YouTube.
Watch all the Saw movies.
Watch all the Saw movies. And when you're done, YouTube will figure out what you need to do. Just don't leave your house. Don't talk to people because everybody's
crazy. Let's talk about the cast, shall we?
Let's.
Catherine Hicks played Karen Barkley, Andy's mom. You know her from Child's Play. She was in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. She was in Seventh Heaven for 11 years as the mom on Seventh Heaven. She was in Peggy Sue Got Married. All sorts
I saw that.
I have to know. How old was she? She was born in 51. So in 91, she would have been 40. So she's in her late 30s. I could see that. She looked like she was in her late 30s in this movie. But she dressed like she was older than that, is all I'm saying.
Right.
Chris Sarandon played Detective Mike Norris. You know him from, he was Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Did you know that? The acting voice, not the singing voice.
I was going to say, what? Now, I don't think I knew that. I just assumed it was Danny Elfman all the way around.
It was supposed to be Danny Elfman, but then they realized, not an actor. So they brought in Chris Sarandon, much to his chagrin.
True. But you know what? Danny Elfman is on tour right now, not with the Boingo. So I don't know if he's just going to sit up there and just sing Nightmare from... I was going to say Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare Before Christmas.
He might.
But I'd pay for that.
Let's see. Chris Sarandon was also in Princess Bride. He was Prince Humperdinck. He was in Fright Night. He was in something called Sofa Shakespeare. I don't even know what that is. Teenage Mutant Ninja
Soap and
Turtles. He was Count Dracula, I guess, in one episode. Who's to say? He was in Orange is the New Black. He's the hardest working man in show
Oh.
business.
Well, what was he in Orange is the New Black? It was what episode?
Let's see. Kip Carnigan.
I didn't.
Does that mean anything to you?
It tells me.
Okay.
Nothing.
Anyway.
I bailed out. I watched it for a couple of seasons and then I was like, nah.
Let's see. Alex Vincent played Andy Barkley. He was in Child's Play, Child's Play 2. He was in The Curse of Chucky and The Cult of Chucky in 2013, 2017. They're still pumping these suckers out. Crazy.
There's a new Andy, though. Yeah.
Brad Dourif played Charles Lee Ray and the voice of Chucky. You know him from Lord of the Rings. He was Wormtongue, Grima Wormtongue. He was Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He was Deputy Clinton something or other from Mississippi Burning. I remember that. He was in...
Oh, that was good.
He was in Dune, good. Peter DeVries in the original Dune movie.
As I said, he's got his finger in every pie.
He was in one of my favorites. He was in Body Parts, where he was a guy who gets one of the arms of the serial killer, and his big famous line was, the guy comes to talk to him.
He was the artist, right?
He was the artist. He was the artist. He says, you know, you may have the arm of a serial killer. He's like, so what, you want to arm wrestle? Anyway, good times. Dinah Manoff.
He's old. How the hell old is he? He was in Cuckoo's Nest.
He was in He was very young in Cuckoo's Nest, though. You could tell. He was born in 1950, so he is 72 years old now.
Woo!
So there you go. Right. Dinah Manoff is Maggie Peterson, the wacky friend, who gets launched out of the window as if by catapult. You know her as Marty Maraschino from Grease. She was in Child's Play. She was Carol in 7 seasons of Empty Nest. So there you go. She was also in Ordinary People with Timothy Hutton. There you go.
Never saw it.
It is the most depressing movie you'll ever see. Look, I go to the movie for fun. That's why I watch horror movies. I'm not into personalized family dramas, families breaking apart. That's not what I'm here for.
Pass. I'm not interested in crawdads or where they sing. None of that.
I don't mind a little crawdad action every now and again. I think that's about it.
Crawdad.
Do you want to know anybody else from the cast before I move on?
I can't even think of anyone else from the
That's
cast.
what I like to hear. Okay, let's talk about the rating. We're going long this episode, evidently. Here we go.
I guess so.
The rating for the original Child's Play movie from 1988. Currently, 71% fresh. The audience, only 63%. So that's interesting. Let's see. Top critics, you ask? There are many. Let me see if I could find one that...
Just critics in general or ones that have reviewed this movie?
There are top critics, but very upsetting. Oh, here we go. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4.
He gives him all 3 out of 4. Hey, Roger Ebert, what about Sophie's Choice? I'm going to give it 3 out of 4. Hey, how about the movie with the penile gland? Well, I'm going to give that a 3 out of 4.
Okay, first of all, it's not
It's not
the movie with the penile gland. It is the immortal classic From Beyond, but that's neither here nor there.
From Beyond.
Roger Ebert says Child's Play is a cheerfully energetic horror film of the slam bang school, but slicker and more clever than most. Look at that.
It just sounds like you're talking porn.
I might be. That's another podcast I'm doing.
That's another one of the Chuckies. Mine's easy. Mine is me drop kicking 2 3-year-olds out of 5 across the room.
Only 2 out of 5? That is ridiculous. Child's Play is fun.
Generous.
No. I will give it 3.5 out of 5 scratchy hobos selling dolls out of their shopping carts right before they rape you. That's what I'm doing. Look, it's like I've said it before. It is not the finest film you ever see, but I think it's fun. If you pop this in on Halloween, like movie marathon, I think you're getting your money's worth. I think it's fun. Not scary, mind you,
No.
but I think it's entertaining.
I was a little bored. I was like, I mean, and maybe I would have enjoyed it more back in the days before my taste was so refined.
That must be it.
Now it's kind of like, can we hurry up? Can somebody finally be dead so we can be done with this? If I have to look at Facebook, then I'm bored.
If you're compelled to look at Facebook, okay, fair enough.
By the power of Grayskull, you must look at the Facebook.
That is correct. So thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast TW Die. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, are we on Instagram?
Are we on Instagram? Heck yeah, we are. We are The Podcast That Wouldn't Die on the Instagram.
You can also email us, The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail.
Oh, I keep forgetting my cue for that.
Are you already on Facebook? At least wait till I leave. Sweet Lord. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So make sure you like, share, rate, and review, won't you? Aaron, are you also on?
Won't you please?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Be my neighbor. Oh.
Aaron, are you on social media?
All right,
give us your litany.
I'm just going to tell you. I am on. Well, actually, I'm on Twitter. I'm letting that out. This is just for between you and me, folks out there. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Queen Aaron. I'm also the Cultive Aaron on the Instagram. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon on the Instagram. And you can buy my beautiful art on Artsy Aaron Doherty and First Dibs Aaron Doherty.
Good stuff.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Be her neighbor. Be her neighbor, damn it. So next week, we're going back into the archives, back into the vault. We're going to do the immortal classic, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, with Betty Davis, with, what is her name? Just jumped right out of my brain. Joan Crawford, Mommy Dearest. You can watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane on HBO Max. Good time. If you already have an HBO Max subscription, then you're covered.
Why? Then you're covered, baby.
If you don't, you might have to drop a few coins or go to the local library. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an old hobo behind the Macy's with a shopping cart full of videos that can help you out. That's all I'm saying.
There's going to be a gremlin. There's going to be a My Buddy doll. There's going to be a monkey paw. But just push past that and reach for your Betamax copy of
Whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Did I tell you I was at an estate sale and they had 2 Betamax machines in their boxes and blank tapes for sale?
Was there a monkey paw?
I'm always looking. Was
there an old Good Guys doll with blood splattered and burnt?
Holding the monkey paw with a gremlin on its shoulder.
So make sure you send us your favorite scenes.
Jordan Peele. It's writing itself.
Favorite scenes, favorite quotes, and anything else you'd like to get off your chest. And maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Good times had by all. So thank you very much and be well.
Hey kids, Los Spooky is coming back to HBO, so get ready. Oh, and American Horror Story is coming up too. Boom.